a broke down car on the side of the road in view of a Texaco star. I spent all my money on water and food. I got Willie on the radio singing those country blues. Well, I had a good job back in New Orleans. Once I was a citizen, now I'm a refugee. Can't go back, nah, I can't move ahead. Tried to make a call, but I can't, 'cause my goddamn cell phone's dead. And I'm just 5 minutes from America, I see it very clear. I'm just 5 minutes from America, but you can't get there from here. Try to keep up with them Joneses, wherever they are. Had some real nice neighbors, had me a big backyard. Now I'm watching the world pass me by like I'm an immigrant on the move. Saw the roof of my house on a TV sitting in my motel room. And just 5 minutes from America, I see it very clear. Just 5 minutes from America, but you can't get there from down the road, a policeman smiled, then he offered his hand. He said, "Welcome, stranger, but you really can't stay here, man. On up ahead, there's some opportunities, you can find them everywhere. Maybe go to Houston, there's a lot of you there." Oh, and I'm just 5 minutes from America, I see it very clear. Just 5 minutes from America, but you can't get there from here. Willie sang Blue Eyes, crying in the rain. Looking back Texas, boy, they ain't feeling no pain. But in the back of my head, well, the waves still pound. And when the levee broke, the music stopped, and the world was watching as hell came down. And I'm just 5 minutes from America, I see it very clear. Just 5 minutes from America, but you can't get there from here. And I wish I was back home. Wish I was back home. I wish I was back home. I wish I was. Just 5 minutes from America.
Wow. Thank you. Number one, thank you for letting me in. Yeah. I feel like we had this hidden 20-year relationship of going to the movies.
So John,
check.
I remember
put together a band. It was called Roving Boy. I just couldn't give Roving Boy the time that it needed with the movies and everything going on, and so I kind of backed away from everything. But it laid down, and we didn't touch the project for over 10 years, and a lot happened in my life. And the music started to come back, you know, mostly through Christine, who had heard that first record. And I would once in a while come home and she'd be playing it. And it was kind of her subtle way of saying, I like some of this. I think her word was the songs made her happy. And she said, why don't you do this? But I knew why I had stopped. But she, in a really subtle way, kept after me about, you know, why I didn't do this. I was thinking, how am I going to revisit this again? I mean, I've already called John in this once, kind of turned his life upside down. I called you, and it was like one of those weird conversations. John, hey, Kev, how are you? And I'm good. Yeah, what are you doing in it? And finally I got to it, where I said, look, I'm thinking about music again, and I wonder if you'd be willing to come out here.
So I went out there and hung around for a few days with Kevin, and we started kind of just fooling around with a few songs at his house. We worked on some songs from the old ones we had done many years ago.
I was even nervous about singing that day. The kids were walking out of the kitchen, they would walk through and they'd see, Dad, what are you doing? I said, John and I are dinking around, and I don't really know what I'm doing. And that kind of felt good to in a way, not know what I was doing, but I had this like weird feeling that I wanted to do this.
So we decided to get together a few more times. I made a few more trips out to Los Angeles. We kept singing, and we got Blair, the bass player that was involved in our first band.
When John and I decided to do this again, you know, there was no question at that moment that it would be Blair. And our bass player, Blair Ford. Blair was in the first and only band I was ever in.
And Kevin called up and said, you want to get the band back together?
And finally, after that second or third time, I said, look, I'm going down to Shreveport to make this movie. And I said, why don't you come down and why don't you bring some guys? I said, you make up your mind who you've enjoyed playing with in a while, but, you know, don't tell them too much. Just have them come down. On drums is Larry Copies from Tucson, Arizona. When it came to the drummer, he said, I know exactly, you know, who, you know, I think we should be playing with.
I had been playing with Larry Cobb in Tucson for a long time, and we had a band out there.
And so he introduced us, and we just had a ball and really enjoyed playing with John and Blair. And
I don't know anybody happier than Larry when he's just hitting on his drums, and you know, he's a beautiful singer, and he does a lot of background vocals that really make a difference in our song.
Teddy and I began to work together, and with that band, he produced one of my CDs, and so we headed out to Shreveport and got together and put a really cool thing together.
We wouldn't be the same band if we didn't have Teddy. It just would not be the same band. He's such a key component. You know, Teddy walks in the door, and we kind of met each other, and what was really clear was everybody liked to play. And I remember we set up. We had some people from the crew come over, and we kind of played in front of them, blah, blah, blah. And we sang 4 or 5 songs, and I wasn't very good. I'm sure people just were like looking with their eyes like,
oh, and the crew came over to...
Yeah, there's about 10 people that just were like...
Oh, I remember Frank.
Again, just like the kids. What the is this? there was a theme running in this project with everybody, which is, what the is this? And they let us play, right? So we played like hell, and
yeah,
it was a lot of fun. And then Sunday was rolling around, and it was kind of the last day we were going to practice, and it happened to be Super Bowl weekend. And we had this like decision that we could either practice on Sunday and then go watch the game, or there was even this notion that we could play at this bar.
And out of the blue, a possible gig came up, just kind of a private party at a club, really for crew for the Super Bowl.
And I think it was actually a interesting step for the band because we all sat around, we didn't know each other that well. And I think Teddy said, well, we're here, why don't we just play instead of practice? You know, it's worth 3 practices if we play in front of people.
And I've always believed that a real show is worth probably 10 rehearsals. So I'm like, let's play.
Yeah, it's worth 10. Yeah, maybe one playing in front of people is worth 10 practices, I guess. And Teddy said that. I remember thinking, gong, in my own head, like, this guy, he likes to play. You remember that?
Oh yeah.
And I'll just never forget, like, one thing I learned from Kevin, one of many things, is I could see he was nervous, because there's nothing harder than playing for friends and people you work with. You know, playing for 7,000 strangers, that's a lot easier than 50 people you know.
And so we decided to go over there and play an hour before the Super Bowl started.
This is going to be his first performance in probably 18 years on stage, just learning these songs.
I even had a little stand of music because we were writing these songs and putting these songs together, half originals and half covers, and we probably had 8 songs.
And I could tell he was going to do it.
Like I planned to do. Oh, but I had every intention.
It was like, because that fear was there, he had to do it, you know, and because if he didn't do it, you know, it would make that fear even harder to get over, and also he would walk away feeling like he failed, and so he just did it.
Wait a second, stop. I want to get this right. I got it wrong. You know, it's our party, it's our building, right? We can do this song twice if we want. I just want to make sure you're paying attention. Here we go. 1.
And I swear to God, when the band started, I feel like it was like a kite in the air. In the power of the band playing, it was like I just barely got a hold of the tail. It's like I got the last knot. The band was going so fast, and I was looking at this music and looking at everybody.
He was nervous, but he did it, and he did an awesome job, and it was great for the band.
I looked out in the crowd and I thought, this is just right.
In the dirt of all the people in this world.
And I have a long way to go. But I was thinking, this is just right. And it was we finished that song right at kickoff. We put our instruments down and we watched that Super Bowl. But I kept thinking all the time during this has a good feel to me. What could possibly be? And out of that, I remember that next day I said, look, I want a fiddle player.